This is Andrew, and welcome to Digital Nomad Journey, where we support digital nomads and remote workers seeking the laptop lifestyle and being location independent. Welcome. If we're just meeting for the very first time, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to do a quick audio check. Yeah, good stuff. I can never be fully certain. Welcome. If you're here live, make sure you say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from, where you're joining us from. And if you're watching the recorded version, I hope you find the recording helpful as well. You'll find lots of helpful links in the description below. And today we're going to talk about something super sexy and amazing and will blow your mind. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of sexy. Today we're going to talk about digital nomad insurance. And I guess I saved this riveting conversation for episode 10 of this brand new live stream series that I started not very long ago. If we're meeting for the very first time, I started Digital Nomad Journey and founded this page, this channel, this brand in an effort to help people learn more about and possibly become digital nomads and remote workers, because there's a lot of attention in that niche, in that area right now, when the world was forced into remote working or working from home for the very first time. The trends have all shown us over recent years that there are a vast growing number of digital nomads and remote workers with each passing year. And COVID-19 just gave it a boost, just gave it that little kick to be shoved into the limelight, so to speak. So made this channel, made this growing community to help you achieve your goals of being a digital nomad. And now, at the time of this recording, it's end of June 2020, and borders are starting to just reopened recently or starting to reopen. Social distancing measures are beginning to relax, and there's some level of normalcy returning to our lives. And I think COVID percussions of innocence. Hello, how are you? Where are you from? This is a brand new live stream series, Q&A, question and answer series that I created. This is only episode 10. Still very new to doing the process, but I am here to make myself available to anyone considering beginning a digital nomadic lifestyle, or would like to optimize their digital nomadic lifestyle. And I was just about to say that I think this virus really highlighted the fact that you need to hope for the best but plan for the worst. And a lot of people were caught in weird parts of the world without proper coverage, and you don't even need a virus, a pandemic, to be warned with all the horror stories out there of people who sustained injuries or sicknesses while on vacation, while doing international travel, and because they didn't prepare ahead of time, they unfortunately, more often than not, had a painful life lesson to learn. So if you're here watching live, welcome. If you're here watching the recording, I hope you find this helpful. Before we dive into things, I would like to quickly share that I wrote a book called Digital Nomad Lifestyle Guide, where this book is aimed at helping the newbie, the noob, the brand new digital nomad, the brand new remote worker. Doesn't matter if you're just looking for a way to make money online as a side hustle and increase your financial stability in that sense, or you want to travel the world and work remotely as a digital professional, maybe a virtual freelancer or an entrepreneur, or even an employee. I cover all the aspects in this book. You'll find it helpful. Go to digitalnomadjourney.com/free book. You'll find a link in the description below. And it's totally free. Best part, totally free. It's a free book. I wrote it because, well, one, it was my goal to write a book in 2020. I'm a very goal-oriented person, and proud, can pat myself on the back that I achieved that goal. And then the pandemic happened, and I decided to make the book free, so that in the hopes that I can reach more people and help more people, because I know there's a lot of people suffering out there. Maybe you're suffering, maybe you're struggling, maybe you feel cornered, maybe you feel like you're being left behind. I get it. I've been there, and it can be very frustrating, very scary, booking that one-way flight for the first time and setting out and changing your entire lifestyle. So pick up this book, grab a copy. I hope it helps you out. And as far as today, what we're going to talk about, and here we've got the live chat right here. I'm using OBS, and if anybody has any recommendations on how to tweak this somewhat or use another software, please feel free to let me know. Today, what about digital nomad insurance? What about insurance? What should I think about? What do I need to be concerned about? What do I need to be worried about? Insurance can be a dirty word in some circles. Insurance companies and coverage options, unfortunately, don't always have the best reputation, and I think it goes both ways. I think it goes from the user perspective that misunderstood the financial product that they purchased and didn't fully read the fine print or didn't fully understand, or maybe they didn't have a very good agent to explain what the service actually was. And then on the other side of things, there have been examples throughout history where insurance companies certainly weren't the most honest, and they tend to be these smaller kind of companies. You'll have a much better chance of dealing with a stand-up company if they have all the referrals and testimonials and case studies and perhaps the years backing them up to give you that vote of confidence. So something that I like to share with people is that a policy, an insurance policy, which is a financial product that you purchase to transfer risk away from yourself and onto the insurance company. A policy is far cheaper 10 years too early rather than 1 minute too late. And I like to remind myself of that. I like to remind people of that because it can be so true. It's if without having a proper coverage protection system in place, there is a chance of going bankrupt because you can't cover all the expenses, whether it was an injury or a sickness or perhaps a liability issue. Like, for instance, you wouldn't go drive your car down the street without car insurance because one claim against you after a motorcycle accident or an automobile accident could quite easily be life-changing for you and for others. So why would you travel around the world? Why would you live the life of a digital nomad without having some protection in place? Now, a little caveat here, if I had a little, visual asterisk, I would pop that up right now, is that depending on where you're traveling around the world, insurance could be more important or less important. It just depends, and this is where what comes down to really doing that homework ahead of time before you jet off to that part of the world. For instance, if you're planning on visiting the United States, probably a good idea to have some coverage in place, and probably a good amount of it too, because the United States is perhaps unfortunately famous for having massively expensive hospital expenses, hospital bills, and their healthcare system as a whole. Now, I can speak to personal experience and let you know that Boston has a fantastic policy and has programs in place for international people. I do have personal experience as I had to go to their hospital once and explained that I was a Canadian, I was visiting, and they never sent me a bill. So I suppose you can't brush all of the United States with the same brush, right? You can't paint the entire country with the same brush. I have heard those horror stories where people have gone to the hospital and then leave with thousands of dollars of bills. That did not happen to me in Boston, thankfully. But the United States is certainly one of those places where you want to have adequate coverage. Now, there are other parts of the world, Mexico, for instance, or Cuba, or any one of a dozen places out there that you, after doing some research, you'll be able to quickly determine that they don't have huge, expensive healthcare systems in place. You could go to the hospital or go to a clinic and have an issue checked out and walk away with a $10 bill or a £10 bill or a €10 bill or $100 or something that's manageable for most people in Western society. I should frame that as. So keep that in mind. Your coverage and your insurance needs may be dictated by the location and the parts of the world that you are looking to focus on. So I wanted to preface, before we start diving into some of the questions and some of the things that you want to ask yourself, I wanted to preface it with that. Do your homework. It's really difficult for me to cover every part of the world in a single book or in a single YouTube video. Clearly that goes beyond the scope of a YouTube video or a book, but I certainly want to make sure your brain is wired in a certain way to improve your chances of success and point you in the right direction so that you can limit your risk and improve your ability to protect yourself and your loved ones if you're traveling with loved ones. So there are a number of financial institutions and products out there in the marketplace, and there are a growing number of institutions creating financial products specifically for digital nomads, specifically for remote workers. And I love that because it's a sign of the times are changing. Governments and insurance companies are recognizing that there is a growing population, globally growing population, with regards to how how many people are going to be coming and going, crossing through borders, thanks to the digital age, thanks to the fact that you can earn a living on your laptop, on your phone, on your iPad, and pass through a beautiful country and experience the culture and experience the food. And insurance companies are recognizing that this is a growing demographic, so they see a business opportunity where they can generate a profit, and digital nomads are receiving a benefit here of that peace of mind, knowing that if the worst happens, they'll have coverage in place. And I did include an affiliate link in the YouTube description below with Safety Wing. And the reason why I've included their affiliate link, because I do have experience with Safety Wing and I feel comfortable recommending a service that I have used myself. It is an affiliate link, and if you do decide on purchasing coverage for yourself, I will receive a small commission at no additional cost to yourself. So I want to, but if you're not planning on going with Safety Wing and you already have a company in mind, please watch the entire video because you're going to find helpful information in this video. You don't have to go with Safety Wing if you don't want to. There's other options out there. I just have experience with Safety Wing, which is why I'd like to recommend them. So always research all your options out there. You may find one financial institution offers a better product for yourself and meets your particular set of needs. Okay, so let's get going here. Do I have any added questions? No questions yet. And if you're joining us live here again, make sure you can drop your questions in the chat. It doesn't have to be insurance related. We can have an organic, just natural conversation here, you and I. I'm here to help. And I forgot to mention that my intention is to go live for you every single week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I go live at 4 p.m. UK time, which is 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Now, I want to preface that this week is going to be slightly different. I have a video I'm going to publish for you on Wednesday that I did with, it was an interview that I recorded recently. I'm super pumped and excited to record this for you because this digital nomad has been a nomad for the last 18 years, and she's a career coach. So there's going to be a ton of information for you to check out. Make sure you check that out. And excuse me, I'll make sure to publish that on Wednesday. So I won't be going live on Wednesday, but you'll get that video. And then I'll go live again this week on Friday. Next week is also going to be slightly different because I've booked a flight, and I won't be able to go live 3 times next week because of my travel plans. I'm super excited to talk about that with you as well because it's the first time I'm doing international travel AC after COVID. So it'll be interesting to see what international travel is like. I know I've seen some social posts and different people sharing details online over recent weeks, and it'll be interesting to experience that myself. And if I learn anything helpful, I'll be sure to share it with you on YouTube and on my social posts and what have you. Okay, so all right, so let's cover some points here. And again, just drop your questions in the chat. And if you're watching the recorded version, you can drop your questions in the comments section below. I promise I will answer all your questions. And if I don't have the answer, I will get it for you. I am obsessed with optimizing my digital nomadic lifestyle, and I'm keen on attracting the very best content. So the first thing that I want to raise your attention to is, how does this policy that you're considering on purchasing, how does the policy complement or supplement your employer's policy, if you have coverage with your employer, or your national health coverage? That will be one question, one bit of information that you want to dig up, because you might already have some decent coverage with your employer and your national health coverage. You clearly want to see how they complement one another. Sometimes one is the priority, the first coverage that will pay, and then the second form of coverage will supplement and fill any gaps left over. And sometimes it can be a little confusing, and I hesitate to jump into too much detail here because it will depend on the product you are purchasing, and you'll want to talk to your agent and get crystal clear on how it does supplement. And if you don't have any coverage with your employer, because many of us digital nomads are freelancers, so you don't actually get any coverage through your clients, you'll certainly want to be looking at coverage because you'll be dependent, on yourself. Excuse me while I get a little bit of water. Got to get your H2O in. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want you to think about. The second thing, how long is the elimination period? Now, the funny thing about insurance is, I don't know if they do the industry does this intentionally or not, but sometimes there's some interesting terminology. Interesting terminology in the insurance industry, which leaves regular people wondering, what is going on here? So the elimination period is the period of time that you must wait before you receive your compensation, before you receive those benefits. Okay, so what you'll see typically in disability coverage is that there'll be a 90-day elimination period. So you get hurt here, you have to, or sick here, you have to wait 90 days. You'll submit the paperwork and go through the whole process. You will have to wait 90 days before you'll receive any kind of financial compensation. Now, I want to share something important with you here that is not great, but it's important to grasp. It's important to understand. What the data shows us is that 88% of the time you will be recovered and back to work before this 90-day period elapses. Okay, so why is that important? Only 12% of the time will your injury or sickness make it so that you are not able to work longer than 90 days. So this is a way when you purchase insurance, you are transferring risk away from you and onto the insurance company, but this is a way that the insurance company doesn't absorb all the risk. And unfortunately, I haven't come across one insurance company yet that is very forthcoming with this kind of data. Well, that's a lie. I've come across one insurance company, which is why I know this information in the first place. So it's important to realize that the bulk of your injuries and sicknesses you will recover within that 90-day period, which means if you're paying for disability coverage, you won't actually receive a benefit 88% of the time. So, not great information, and you're thinking, oh geez, Andrew, thanks a lot, but it's just something to be aware of. And again, another example of how your different policies, your different coverage options complement one another, because one might not kick in for 90 days, and then you might have a hospitalization coverage, for instance, that kicks in right away if you're hospitalized and actually admitted to being in a hospital. And that is a definable term. Just quick heads up, segue to you. If you're admitted to a hospital, that means it depends on the paperwork and how they word things, so make sure you read your policy carefully. But perhaps it does mean that you've been admitted. When you've been admitted to hospital, that means you've been in hospital for a minimum amount of time. It might be 10 hours or 12 hours, what have you. So have a close eye on your policy and have a good conversation with your agent to get clear on these definitions, since they will have real impact on what happens to you and whether you get paid or not. Okay, number 3, next point. What are the exclusions? What is an exclusion? An exclusion is a reason for the insurance company not to pay you your benefits. You want to make sure that you are crystal clear and know what you actually are covered for and what you're not covered for. Perhaps one of the best options I can give you, or one of the best examples, I can give you, is the fact that a lot of insurance policies will not cover scuba diving, skydiving, bungee jumping, rock climbing, all those kinds of activities. And if you don't plan on doing anything like that, it's not a big deal. However, if you are one of those active, adventurous types that when you travel around the world, you like to engage in some of these activities, you may actually have to purchase a separate insurance policy that covers that particular activity on its own. Or you actually might be lucky enough to find a coverage that does cover scuba diving. I only use scuba diving as an example because I am a diver myself. I'm a former professional diver. I was a Canadian Coast Guard rescue diver. I was a scuba instructor for years. So I'm familiar around that aspect. But thankfully, I am a former professional and I have thousands of dives under my belt, so I don't anticipate on getting hurt on a dive anytime soon. And I have the knowledge and experience to aid me in that on that front. But if you're a novice diver, or if you plan on exploring a new form of diving that you're not fully qualified in, then getting some dive insurance is a fantastic option to look at. I highly, highly recommend it. Okay, number 4. Have your agent explain the process of submitting a claim. Make sure you're crystal clear and ask if that agent is able to assist you with submitting a claim. Sometimes they're able to, sometimes they're not able to. There's a very fine line there. It might be a complicated process. And you want to keep in mind that if you're submitting a claim, imagine what your state of mind is like. Just imagine for a moment. You're sick, you're injured, something that you didn't anticipate has happened. Keep that in mind. You're not going to have all your wits with you. So the simplest task might feel very difficult and overwhelming because all of a sudden you're dealing with these outside stressors that you weren't anticipating, and now you're being asked to fill in 15 pages of documents and provide photocopies of this and photocopies of... I think you get the point. You want to make sure that you're crystal clear on the process of submitting a claim, because if you submit the paperwork incorrectly, then the insurance company is not going to pay you your benefit, and it's not going to be their fault. It's going to be your fault because you didn't submit the information that they require to pay out the benefits to you. So something to keep in mind, something to be aware of, and sometimes this paperwork process is not ideal. Sometimes it's quite difficult. So number 5, and this is the last point I want to cover. It looks like I don't have any questions yet, but make sure you drop them in the chat. You want to clarify if coverage is worldwide or has restricted or certain parts of the world that are void, that's not included in the coverage. Starting out as a new digital nomad, you can lower your financial risk if you have some savings built up, or if you have an emergency fund that you can pull from, and that will certainly increase your chances of success and decrease your dependency on coverage. You may want to have some emergency funds set aside to sustain you for that first 90-day period, the elimination period before an insurance will kick in. So if you have 3 months of expenses all put away in a safe place for you to access in a liquid form, then that would be something to consider for sure. And what else did I want to cover here? Oh, you can also lower your risk if you're traveling with a partner, if you have a spouse, boyfriend, or girlfriend, because then, of course, if something were to happen, you would be able to depend more on them for financial assistance as well. So again, if you're traveling on your own, you intrinsically, hopefully, will recognize that your risk level is a little bit higher, and you may want to invest a little bit more. Not invest is the wrong word, but purchase a little bit more insurance coverage, knowing that you're going to be on your own if the worst happens. And yeah, if one of you falls on hard times. What else should I make sure I get over you to? I think that does basically everything that I wanted to cover. Tony Robbins has a fantastic quote that I remind myself of often, and I would love to take the opportunity right now to share with you. If you're not familiar with who Tony Robbins is, he's considered by many to be the world's #1 success and business coach, and he's a fantastic human being, and he's one of these famous people that people like to quote. And his quote is that losers, and his language can be a little harsh at times, but he says losers react and winners anticipate. Or I've seen it another way, that leaders anticipate, and he harps on the fact that anticipation is really the defining factor that separates the people who achieve mastery and those who are dabblers, those who are just dabbling, those who aren't really giving it their all. And I think that quote is exceptionally relevant in the insurance world and in the insurance niche. We are surrounded these days by people experiencing financial hardship due to unforeseen factors that no one could have predicted. And I myself got stuck paying for a flight that was not refunded and did not. I didn't receive a voucher because the airline decided that that was the case. I also didn't purchase any insurance for the airline ticket beforehand, and so I'm out $1,500, $1,500, which is a lot of money to a lot of people. And that's just how it goes because the airline deemed that they don't want to refund me and they don't want to offer a voucher either. And the flight didn't even leave the ground; it was canceled because of COVID. So there you go. Insurance certainly has a place if you want to protect yourself in the unlikely event something were to happen. And unfortunately, here in mid 2020, people are recognizing that there are all kinds of factors out there that they have no control over, and sometimes it's not what you know that's going to hurt you; it's what you don't know that's going to hurt you. So let me pull up the chat here. Looks like I don't have anyone here saying hi, but I'm still growing this brand new YouTube channel. If you're here, I appreciate you. I thank you for watching live and or for watching the recorded version. Again, make sure you grab your free copy of the Digital Nomad Lifestyle Guide. I promise you will find it helpful. Let me know what you think. Shoot me a message. It's easy enough to reach me on any of the social media platforms that you'll find me. I'm very active on. And let me know what kinds of YouTube videos, you want in the future, what kind of content you'd like me to cover in the future. I am obsessed with getting access to the very best content out there. And I felt here on episode 10 of this Q&A series with me, it was about time that I started talking about insurance. Not the sexiest subject in the world, once again, but I'm happy to cover it with you, and I hope you found it helpful and useful. So again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. If you are, if we're meeting for the very first time, or if you've made it all the way into the end of this YouTube video, thank you. Make sure you lightly tap that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And if you're watching the recording version, if you're watching the recording version right now, you might want to check out these YouTube videos as well, as they might prove helpful and useful to you too. So make sure you say hi. I'll talk to you soon. And I'll see you this week on Friday. Own the day, make it yours. Take care.